And yeah, so the reason that I said yes to this gig is because it goes back in hand with what Candace was talking about earlier about just connecting with people. I really love, kind of like what you're wanting to go into, I really love telling people stories. And while I do a lot of hype videos and commercials for businesses and stuff, there's something different when I can feel the human connection while I'm working with people doing the job, but also about the job itself, just the connecting with people and telling their stories and hearing their stories as well. There's something there that I must make me tick, I guess. A portion of it. So. And if any of you three have questions.
I'm just seeing where you go with it because I'm a teacher, remember? I just want to see where my head goes.
Who might have been your biggest inspiration, either growing up or now, or
Ooh, that's a good one.
Thinking about it.
Biggest inspiration for video or biggest inspiration for what? Because I've got
just
a lot.
For life in general, for your inspiration just to keep moving forward.
I might have to do some thinking on that. Give me 20 seconds. That's a good question.
Can I ask it in a slightly different way? Where do you find you get your greatest strength?
Right there. That person right there. The biggest, well, and that comes in twofold, because the biggest strength overall is man upstairs, right? Let's see. I'm trying to think of like people though.
Because Jacob, I know that's been a journey for you too, right? To figure that out.
A little bit, yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Sorry.
About my relationship with God or what?
Yeah, just
oh wow.
I know his
We're going right into it.
Yeah, I totally am.
That's okay. Hey, that's okay.
Because I know there's a story behind that.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the story is.
Well, this is why I spent an hour with his cousin, where it took that long to get there. Take it away. What do you want to know on this?
Let's answer her question first, the inspiration, then we'll get into that, because I love where you're going with that. Yeah. One of the biggest inspirations for me, to just go forward with life, one of the biggest inspirations for me was just the what's the word? The example that my parents and my grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins just gave me, the older ones that went before me, of what life to lead. And yeah, just I love being able to see what they've done, and also being able to be in a room with them and be in a room with people that I aspire to be like. And yeah, I heard once that if you feel like you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room. And so I really love to surround myself with people that I feel like are leaps and bounds ahead of where I am, and hopefully I can try to be like someday. So family is the easiest answer for that. And then as far as career development and growth, I found a lot of strength through just reaching out, people in my field, people local to me, but also people just on the internet. The internet is a powerful tool that can be used for good or bad, but for me, I've been able to use it for a lot of good. I would hope Corey and I have met a lot of people online that have really helped propel my business and growth. And literally, you cannot do really any job, but especially this one, you cannot do without the help of other people. It is absolutely insane just being able to network with people. I mean, the guy that we rented all this equipment from, I wouldn't be lit up the way that I am right now without that equipment. We wouldn't have all of the stands that we have for the job. I mean, just stuff like that, I guess, the tiniest things. And then Candace, being able to get me this gig and stuff like that. You never know when somebody is going to need a video, or somebody's friend or somebody's dad or kid or cousin is going to need a video. And if you're, putting yourself out there and being a good steward and citizen, and I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, just being a good person every day. It is crazy, actually. I don't do any marketing, online marketing for my company or anything like that. It's almost entirely word of mouth, and it's almost entirely the gigs that I get are from people that I haven't talked to in years, and they'll just call me up and be like, "Hey, I've seen the work that you do, and I want a piece of that piece of that work done for me, and I'm like, cool, let's get it done. So it's something that I underestimated at the beginning, because at the beginning you always focus on the gear and the computer and the lights and the microphones and the lenses and all that stuff, and it's really important to get the job done. But I would argue that, well, I wouldn't argue, I would seriously advocate that people are way, way, way more important than that. And you can surround yourself with good or bad people. So that's what I would say.
So now, tell me, because you said your strength. Who you get strength from the most? Clearly right here, your wife is pretty key.
Uh-huh.
But you also sent the man upstairs.
Those
And
two, more than anything.
You've had a bit of a journey in that.
Sure.
So just because I don't know a lot of what that is, to be honest, but like, how did you finally realize and make that connection with him?
Ooh, that's a good one. How long do we got?
It's all good. Just roll.
Okay.
Let's see what comes out.
Okay. So I'll try to word this in the best way without being too sporadic about it. So I've been dating, I've known my wife, I'm going to start that over. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. So I've known my wife for about probably 10 years. We knew each other in elementary. We became friends in middle school. We became best friends in high school. And then we started dating in high school. And we got married about a year after high school. And so we have not only known each other, but we've like grown with each other. We've done a lot of really, really fun things. And we've just been on a journey together for the last like 10 years. And it's been amazing. During those 10 years, I've had highs and lows. I went through a period of my life where I didn't have really a relationship at all with my parents or with God. I guess you could say in our religion, we call it periods of apostasy, or periods where you just kind of, I don't know if lose faith is the right word, but you just kind of lose, it was a very transformative period of my life, the teenage years, right? And so it's just something that I just was trying to find who I was. And it's not like, I don't know, it's not like that in the moment. In the moment, you're just kind of angry at everybody and afraid of everybody at the same time. But looking back, I'm like, that was a really transformative period of my life. And I'm grateful that, number one, I have the relationship that I do now with my wife, with my parents, and with God. So that is, and I don't know how deep into the weeds Candace wants me to get into that, but I don't know if that does that.
Is that what influenced you then? Is Corey? It sounds like Corey was a big influence in wanting this relationship to succeed, and
for
you
sure
wanted to repair it with your parents.
Uh-huh.
Because I know it was rocky. I knew that. So,
yeah.
I know enough of your family to know. I know his dad and mom. So I thought, just
sure.
to say, yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking as we look upward and look outward, I think it actually matters. I think we all have to there's a journey in both directions, right?
100%.
Do you feel like there's more that needs to be said for the purpose of this launch?
I feel like there's something I'm missing and I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm just kind of going in different directions and I don't know which one to...
This is actually the beauty of, I think, doing the podcast is we have to get after what that is with people. And I think sometimes it takes a minute because they don't know the answer themselves.
Yeah.
And so I think
that is true.
Sometimes it's like this natural conversation with people that I think that just says, I think it's natural curiosity that we have that sometimes can help pull it out of them. It's like what happened last night with Rudy. Like, oh my gosh, when he finally would talk about his father was what that was. Did you guys feel that?
That is true.
And just like, oh, I get what makes you tick now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure we have gotten there yet with you yet.
And we can keep going. Let's go down the route of or what was it? What was your first question? I liked what you were talking about at first, right after I finished talking.
I think just where do you get your strength from? Like the gig. So we kind of went from why this gig. You talked about connections that matters to you.
Connections,
and my thing is, so what's your journey with you looking up and looking out? What have you learned and all that?
Yeah.
I can't remember what else I said. Sorry. that was kind of the gist of where we went.
Yeah. So I'll go. I think I know where to go with that. Yeah. So going back to just the career for just a second. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my professional life and I knew I always have had a little bit of rebel in me. I knew I didn't want to do anything that my family had ever really done before.
Want a farm.
I didn't want a farm. Yeah. And nothing like, God bless farmers. They really are needed. And I absolutely love being around my family that farms, and I've actually told their stories before. The heritage and the history there, and I absolutely love being around them. But I just knew I couldn't do that, or even really do like a blue collar. I think that's the right word, right? Yeah. I just knew that I wouldn't be fulfilled if I chased after a blue collar or manufacturing or carpentry or mechanic job. I knew I wouldn't be completely fulfilled, and so for a while I worked as a manager at a Wendy's restaurant in Idaho, and I really loved that, and I really thought I was going to go with that for a while. I actually got promoted to general manager, and I thought I was just going to keep on moving up the ladder there. And the biggest thing for me was it was just taking time away from my new wife. We were just barely married when I was promoted to general manager. And it was also taking away from my time with family and also God. I felt like the sleep schedule was just so sporadic because I'd work from 5 a.m. to 3. And I'd have shifts that were from 5 a.m. to 3. And I'd also have shifts that were from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. And just all over the board there. And it was all in the same week. So I had no consistent sleep schedule. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to buy some equipment. I did not have this nice of equipment at the time, but I bought some equipment and I just started chasing after what I really wanted to do. And I've made videos for a really long time, and I never, ever, ever thought I could make a career out of it. I did videos with my cousin Lad, who's probably one of my best friends that I've ever had. I've made videos with my siblings. I've made videos with my best friends at school. I've made videos with Corey, two of us just taking small little vacations and trips. And all this was before I ever thought I could do it professionally. This is just for fun. It was just like an outlet. And while I was going through a period of time at Wendy's where I was like, I don't want to do this forever. I really just, it's not sustainable for my sleep schedule, and it's not sustainable for a family to be gone all of these, because I was always working holidays too. You only get 2 holidays off, or 3, Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, but every other day of the year you work. And so I was like, there's a lot of jobs like that, and really I just, hats off to the people that love those jobs and that can live with that. But yeah, I was going through a period of time there where I just had I made the time more to go and do a couple weddings, film a couple weddings, and do a couple other just small gigs and stuff like that for small business owners and people who needed stuff here and there. And I did a lot of stuff for free too. I did a lot of stuff for free too, just getting my foot in the door and showing people what I can do. I filmed almost an entire season of football just for friends and family who were on the team, almost entirely for free. I made a couple $100 out of that season. And that I'd say about half of the gigs that I get now, the people say, hey, I love what you did there. I love the sports thing. I don't have a sports related business, but I'd love for you to make a video that shows that same kind of energy around my business. So that's just crazy what you can do. The work that I've done for free has far outweighed the work that I've been paid for, as far as like the trajectory of my of our company that it's pushed it in. But as far as that's a little bit more on the side of the career. But as far as my relationship with my wife and how that's inspired things, and my relationship with my family and God, I went through a little bit of a weird phase in high school where I didn't get along with my parents. Still got along with my siblings just fine because they weren't telling me what to do every day, and they weren't telling me how to live my life, right? And of course, they're doing it out of love, not out of hatred or anything like that. But I don't know exactly the best way to say that. It was just a matter of finding, of knowing it was a matter of figuring out what kind of life I wanted to live and realizing that the decisions I was making then weren't leading me to the life I wanted to live. And my wife and I have grown with that together. We've decided that
Did you make those decisions together?
absolutely,
Like, this is where we want to go together.
absolutely, we absolutely made those decisions together. And so that's really what I mean when I say we've grown together instead of just grown up. We've really grown together because we've been really transformative to each other on what we want, where we want to go, and what we want to do. And
So how did you realize, sorry, I'm just gonna.
go ahead. I'd love you to direct
How
it.
did you finally realize, I'm looking at you too, just, that God needs to be a part of this for you?
So, my relationship with God it's very different than Jacob's story. I kind of had a moment where I was EMT, I was doing a lot of CNA stuff and kind of throwing myself into the mix of, I wanted to be a lifeline nurse or a paramedic, and I wanted to go to school for all that type of stuff. And anyways, I was going off the path quite a bit of, like you come off of your parents', beliefs, and you
Gotta have your own belief. You gotta find your own.
Just who am I?
Who am I and what do I believe in? And there was a moment, I came out of the house one morning, starting my truck for school, and it wouldn't start. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like,
This sounds like seizures.
So I ended up having to ride the bus, and I was not excited to ride the bus. I'm like,
Yeah.
freaking, junior in high school.
Yeah, right with all these grade schoolers.
Ride the bus with a bunch of,
I
elementary
feel like
kids.
Maya's over there just smiling really big right now. She's like, I get this.
Anyways, so I ended up having to ride on the way home too. So on the way home, there was a little girl that ended up smacking her head against a sharp part of the window on the bus. And to me, that was, I was right there. I was able to carry her off of the bus and get her into a vehicle with her mother and drive to the hospital with her mom, where she ended up having.
You're a junior in high school.
Yeah, I was in the middle of EMT training.
You're able to use that experience, or at least your
Yeah.
awareness skills, or I don't know what you'd call that, but
Yeah. And where she ended up having 5 or 6 staples put into her head. And to me, like that morning before, I had asked, God, I had prayed, so hard, and it was more of like, help me to be in a right spot where you need me to be, where I can help somebody, where I can do something to feel that.
mm-hmm.
And
to recognize it.
yeah, and to be able to recognize that. And when I was able to finally have that happen, like it was like a chain reaction, there was a reason I wasn't able to stand my truck that morning. There was a reason why I rode the bus that night. There was a reason why I was in all of those places, to be able to be there. And I think that's when I really started to grow my own testimony. So, and then that kind of, when Jacob and I were in school, we took seminary together, and we'd always say, we're going to get married in every single religion that we can, so we can make sure that we can be together.
Yeah. And that was before we really
Yeah, that was
we were going to church because our parents made us go to church, not because we wanted to.
Right.
And so we're like, is this true? Like, is this? Maybe we'll just make sure we can have an afterlife by getting married in every religion. Like, we've legitimately had these conversations.
You're in Hindu, Buddhist, all of it.
Yeah.
Muslim even?
We're like, whatever we can, because we knew we had, because of our parents, we had some sort of foundational belief that there was an afterlife, but we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't ask to know.
Yeah.
So that was her story.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's yours?
Yeah. How did
you find to be like, okay, it's time to listen?
I'm trying to think of like a.
I mean, it may not be a moment like that.
Sure.
For most people, I think it's pretty gradual where you just but there's a moment probably you're like, oh yeah,
I
I turned.
look at who I used to be even 3 years ago, and I would not recognize the guy that I was then. And I don't know exactly. I think for me it was less of a moment and more of just gradual changes of realizing. I don't even know exactly how to show or say where I've grown or how I've grown. I don't. What would you?
What would be the little things you started to do that changed along the way?
Sure. Actually, less than 2 weeks ago. I don't know. It was anyways. I've done this like a handful of times in the past couple of years, but I just try to be more. And I don't say my prayers every night. I really try to, but I don't. But I just remember instead of saying I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, please bless that this goes this way or that way or whatever, I just say, and I still count blessings and whatever, but I've learned to say, please help me to be the best me that I can be. And that seems really cliche and cheesy, but like I can't explain the way that it just helps me get out of bed and helps me go to work. And instead of being focused on inputs or outputs or outcomes or situational stuff, I just am like, okay, like situation's been given to me, great or bad, amazing or terrible. I'm like, where do I go from here? And that sounds really easy to say, but in the moment it's made me just kind of step away and be like, hey, what am I meant to do in this moment, instead of just complaining or bickering or going even worse, spiraling down or whatever else. I don't know. And I don't know if that really. Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, I don't know if that really like shows. I don't know.
Do we feel like we've gotten there yet?
We might have. I don't know exactly how to even put to words what I'm feeling or what I'm trying to say. You know. What have I described any of our life the way that you've seen it, or am I just like?
No, yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it.
I mean, what I heard you say was this. This is what I do sometimes, is I try and restate what I heard
Sure.
or what I understood, and then I find sometimes it makes people open up deeper. So I'm modeling for you, being a teacher right now, okay? So, just what I heard you say is you kind of just came to this realization of you wanted something more. You wanted to be your best self. That's really what I heard you say.
Yeah.
And you wanted to be able to get up every day, and you felt like by turning to God through prayer, that's what you were seeking. Is that did I hear you right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For me, it's more about being intentional than, and maybe that's why, going back to our conversation that Corey and Candace and I were having earlier, maybe that's one of the things that just drives me crazy about people that act entitled, is that I really try, I don't want to toot my own horn either, but I really try not to act like I deserve anything just because I exist. And I feel like that's a really wrong mindset to have, that just, I'm here, I go to work, I do all these other things that other people do, but why does that make me deserve anything else that anybody else hasn't already earned? So yeah, I feel like just going to what Candace was talking about, just being intentional about the life I live, instead of just clocking in and clocking out and going to bed every night, waking up every morning and not really thinking about where I've come and where I want to go. Just occasionally, it can be every week, every month, every year, but occasionally just think like, okay, like, was the circumstances that I wanted to live, or were the circumstances that came today ideal? And sometimes yes, sometimes no. Most often no. But most often it's not terrible. It's just somewhere in between. It's just like, oh yeah, it was just another day. But the bigger question is, were the decisions I was making something I'll be proud of in 5-10 years, or 20 or 50? I don't know. What do you think, Corey? I'm sounding a lot smarter than I am. I'm really not this smart all the time.
Whatever. I would kind of touch on like working at Wendy's. People that you're surrounding yourself with. What kind of influence were they around you?
Huge. Yeah.
The right people. I heard you say that earlier today.
Yeah. So while I was working at Wendy's, I loved a lot of the people that I did work with, but in general, it is just a lower caliber of people that I did work with. And I don't know, lower standards is the right way to say it, or just lower expectations of life. Different goals, way different goals. In fact, I've caught up with a lot of the people that I used to work with there because I still care to hear about some of where they're going or what they're doing or whatever else. And
Are they still working at Wendy's?
So I've been sort of surprised and sort of not surprised to find out that either they still work at Wendy's or they've worked at another restaurant. They're still working at Wendy's or they're working at another restaurant in town, or they're working for somewhere that's even worse. And I don't know if I just feel like we're destined to do more than just go and punch a clock and clock in and clock out. I was just saying the caliber of people I was hanging out around, but both while I was at Wendy's and then now has just completely changed. And I think that it has a profound impact, even bigger than I myself realize, on where I've come from where I was. Both the people that I work with at my in-house job and the people that I surround myself with my gigs and with my clientele and all this stuff has just had a crazy big impact on me, and then also just on the trajectory of my career as well. So, and my mindset on life as well. So,
Nye, from your judgment, have we gotten what we need out of him?
I feel like we have to an extent. I feel like it's.
Have we had the Rudy moment yet?
I don't think we have. I think.
I'm a rambler. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I am too, but I feel like. I don't feel like we've hit what makes you tick yet. Like.
Good observation. I like that. Okay.
And that's why I said.
That's what you're trying to get at.
I agree with you. That's why I said, because she's a pretty good judge.
No, good.
She's a good
good job.
storyteller like you are. So if we hit the climax of the story yet?
I don't feel like we have. Like, we've talked about your inspiration. We've talked about you growing up and your roots and everything. But I don't feel like we've hit what makes you tick right now. In this moment, if that makes sense. Like, yes, there's like a before and after effect, but like, what is still making you move forward to this day? And so forth.
No, you're good. I love that.
I would say your hobbies.
My hobbies?
Yeah. This is your hobbies. This is why you do what you do, because you love it so much.
But what do I love so much? I just want to know what you're saying.
The camera stuff. The videos.
It's like we're watching a husband-wife moment right now.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, we're just trying to I'm trying to navigate this with you, with.
I can tell you guys really do. You're yoked together. So.
Yeah. Is it like a specific reason or like purpose that you want to fulfill, or is it because you like the technical stuff, you like the equipment and just kind of making videos in general, or is it is there a specific reason in yourself that just...
I want to talk about something that happened in October that has really shaped my decisions. And I'm actually really grateful that it did happen. And it was a really hard time for us. I was offered, Corey knows me. I'm constantly going out and reaching out to people and saying, hey, can I come shadow you? Can I come, do you have anything that I can help with? Or I find something that I need help with and I'm like, hey, I can do this for you. Let me do it for free one time. And if you want to do anything after that, we can make it work or whatever. Anyways, and one of them opened up into a full-time job opportunity in Salt Lake. And at first we instantly jumped on it. And currently I work in Pocatello full-time. And I also do this outside of that. And that's, if you don't know where all this is, Pocatello is about 3 hours, 2.5 or 3 hours from Salt Lake. And so I commute to Pocatello every day right now. Most days, I don't go every day. They're really generous to let me work from home some days, especially with harsh winter conditions. But yeah, we were offered a full-time job, and at first it was everything that I'd ever dreamed of. I thought, and it seemed at the time like the obvious thing to do. And then after a lot of late night conversations with Corey and myself, and just realizing what I really want to do, I keep on saying that, but I guess what I really want to do is just give my kids and my wife and my family the same lifestyle that I was given. And so that means, for me, not being in a huge city, huge place, being connected to nature and being connected to our families, because we would have been quite a ways away from our families, and being connected to, I guess, a lot of the people that I grew up with as well. But that, I don't know, it was just, we kept on getting told by peers and family and friends, hey, we're super excited for you guys, like, this is gonna be awesome. And at the time, at the beginning, we were like, yeah, this is gonna be great. And the more thinking we did on it, and the finances didn't quite line up either. But that, I don't know. It was just, it was bigger than the finances, though. It was, I don't know.
It seemed like the dream that you had thought.
Yeah, and it would have been. It's not to say that those aren't great people. I still talk to those people, and they do great things there. It's not to say that they're not leading a great business. But it just wasn't. It wasn't lining up with. And it was one of the hardest decisions we've ever had to make as a couple. But I don't even want to do it we've obviously said no, and we're living our life as we were before, but I feel like we're living it more intentionally, and we're more grateful for what we've got, instead of just constantly, it's a comparison game that just people naturally get into. Why can't I have what they have? Why can't I do what they do? And I'm so much more grateful for what I've got. So much, I don't know. It's just, I don't think I quite finished my sentence, but it just wasn't lining up with who I wanted to be and the life I wanted to live. And it's really helped me redirect my mindset whenever, I mean, we just, when smaller things come up, it's just like, oh, okay, where do we want to go from here? Like, what do we want ultimately? And is this helping us get closer or further away from that? And so,
answer that question. What is it you want ultimately?
Yeah. Ultimately, I do want to be with my family forever. I want to, and I want to just be fulfilled. And what fulfills me is, that's a really good question, actually. What fulfills me, I think, what makes me tick, at least a portion of it, a huge portion of it, is just seeing people be absolutely enthralled with the videos that I make. And so I know it's driven Corey a little bit crazy in the past, but I like to watch people watch my videos. I like to see their reactions and to see that whether it's a wedding film and it highlighted the best parts of their day, or I just recently made a really kind of funny and kind of weird video for my brother, just showing that we've always had a ping pong rivalry between me and my brother, and he's on his mission now. And so I just made a video for him showing that, hey, I'm the better ping pong player and I'm going to beat you. I just pretty much saying that pretty much bragging to him. And it was the funnest video I've made in a very long time, because I did it entirely for a reason that I wanted to, instead of financial reasons or deadlines or expectations or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've strayed from your question, Candace. I'm sorry.
So your inspiration or your drive is seeing how other people get inspired. That's what I got
Yes.
from it. So their reactions is what drives you to make more.
Yes. And at first I kind of knocked myself a bit, because I was like, why am I being a people pleaser? And I don't want to be a people pleaser. At nature, I might be more than I wish to be, but it really is the inspiration. I hope to be inspirational to people, but it really is people's reactions to the product that I can give them that really just drives me. I love, at the end of every year, I make a end of year recap video of my wife and I's year, and it is the funnest thing to laugh and cry and joke and just see all of our year's best moments in one 15-20 minute video. And that is like, at the end of it, I'm like, that is what I'm given these talents for. I'm not given these talents to make a cool football video, even though it's awesome, or to make a cool video for a launch for a podcast, which is really, really cool. I'm not saying anything bad about that. But at the end of the day, these past few months, I've been able to record my grandpa Verl and my grandma Peggy 2 or 3 different times. And I've realized I'm very fortunate to have those opportunities, not only with them, as one of the older cousins that's been able to spend 23 now years of their life with them, but also just being given these amazing talents of and the gear and everything that I can record their stories, and that I can show maybe either the younger cousins that may not get to know them as well before they pass, or my posterity, my kids, my grandkids. I think it's because I think it's really neat. My grandpa's told me some stories about his grandparents and his parents, and anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think it's really cool to record things as they are, so that in 2 months or 10 years or 50 years, we can look back and be like, oh my gosh, look who is still with us. Or, hey, this was before so-and-so was born. And it's really cool, I think. I think pictures are amazing, and pictures are absolutely crazy. I think that they can, a picture's worth 1,000 words or whatever the statement is. But I think, and it might be cheesy, but I think video is worth 1,000,000 words, because you can just see how that person talked and how they carried themselves and how they, I don't know. I think a video just captures a different side of them, a more complete encapsulate. That's a big word. A more complete picture of who they were. So.
I feel like that's what also drives you, is capturing the moment. You used that word a lot when you were explaining like your drive into film and whatnot. Capturing, whether it's emotion, whether it's just sentimental moments, whether it's the best moments with your wife, or like anything to drive you at the end of the year, making all those or making the product. Capturing that moment is also what drives you to keep making videos, because it's not only something that you capture in here, but it's something capturing in the camera that you can keep forever.
Exactly. And I'm sure it drives Corey crazy sometimes, but I'm constantly asking her, hey, can you video me while I'm doing this? Can you get me like some behind the scenes shots while I'm doing this? But but I just find it so useful, both professionally for like my Instagram or whatever, to show those things, but also just to see how far I've come while we're doing those things, and then also like you were saying, like I was saying earlier, just to capture people and cities and communities as they are in certain moments, to be able to look back on and be like, man, like, look how much has changed, and like, man, we should. I just find I'm not necessarily a history buff, but I find the parts of history that I'm connected to, so my ancestors and my family and different parts of the community, maybe that was another reason that we just couldn't leave our little community in Benida and Clifton and Swan Lake for the big Salt Lake City. I just find the pieces of history that I'm connected to, both through family and through community and through, I don't know, the pieces of history that I'm connected to just is so inspirational to me. So, more than anything.
Can I say what I heard him say too?
Yes, go ahead.
The most important people to you is your family, those that you are connected to.
Yeah. And that, yes, yeah, I would say that. We what am I trying to say here? Oh, we, on Christmas.
Those really good, most important relationships in life. Right?
Right. We, on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, my wife and I alternate whose family we go to. And sometimes we might stay a little bit longer than my wife likes to, because her energy levels go out a little quicker than mine, but that's fine. We've navigated that together. But I really do find so much just joy and fulfillment just passion in doing things with both my family and her family, with our families. I mean, one of the greatest things about getting married is that you literally double your family overnight. So I love being around people that I love, and hopefully they love me too. They seem to put up with me. So
Did we get there?
I think we got there.
sorry, this has been a long.
Okay,
You're
no.
good.
It took a while to crack me.
I was actually having like memories of like his cousin Kai that
Yeah.
was my nephew, and I'm like, it took about that long to get it out of him too.
Yeah.
We're like,
Us Christensen guys are hard to
I
crack.
like how